Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, Mike Lindell sent me a note yesterday. He has a special for the 6-piece towel set, $25 when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. You'll get the $25 offer on the 6-piece towel set, and I promise you, these will be the most comfortable, the most absorbent towels that you own. mypillow.com, use promo code Joey, get the 6-piece towel set for just $25. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in, and it is Friday. Thank goodness. Former President Barack Obama hit the campaign trail yesterday for Kamala Harris in Pittsburgh, and it seems he is trying to convince black men that she deserves their vote. This is a demographic that seems to be leaning towards Donald Trump at this point. Ex-CBS staffers are calling for an outside probe of the 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris amid this week's editing scandal. And voters in the key battleground states give Donald Trump an edge over Harris on a particular issue. Want to guess what that issue is?
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Former President Barack Obama hit the campaign trail for Kamala Harris yesterday, trying to convince the crowd that Donald Trump's economy was actually his economy and that Trump should not get credit for it.
The point is, if you elect Kamala and Tim, they won't be focused on their problems. They'll be focused on yours. They understand that too many folks here in Pennsylvania and across the country are struggling to pay the bills. Even though wages are steadily growing and inflation is finally slowing, the price of everything from health care to housing to groceries, it's still too high. And that takes a real bite out of paychecks. It hurts. So the question is, who's really going to do something about it? That's what you should be asking yourself. Now, Donald Trump's plan is to do what he did last time, which was give another massive tax cut to billionaires and big corporations. And then, don't boo, I'm going to break you of this habit. And the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good because it was my economy. We had 75 straight months of job growth that I handed over to him. It wasn't something he did. I had spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts.
He didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts. If you compare Obama's speech sometimes when he's in front of a group like this to Kamala Harris's, they have similar speech patterns in front of certain groups, don't they? Obama also suggested yesterday that black men are opposed to Vice President Harris simply because she's a woman, while dissing the Democrat nominee for not producing the same kinds of energy as his campaign had back in the day. He said, "We have yet to see the same kinds of energy and turnout in all corners of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Black voters for Harris event in Pittsburgh ahead of a rally for Harris weren't that enthusiastic." He said, "I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers," referring, of course, to black men. Now, Obama was out there trying to rally the troops. But when you make statements like that, when you seem to be complaining about the energy level, are you really doing her any good? Was that not sort of an underhanded type gesture? I don't quite get that. Obama argued that it's not acceptable for black men to support Donald Trump. Polling, of course, indicates that a higher percentage of black Americans are planning to vote for Donald Trump, much more so in this year than in 2020, with 1 in 4 black men under 50 saying they support Trump, according to an NAACP survey from last month. At the rally, the first of a series of swing state events that will feature the first and only black president, they're going to be running some of these up to literally Election Day. Obama became very animated as he railed against the men who believe Trump is the stronger candidate. He said, quote, "I'm sorry, gentlemen, I noticed this, especially with some men who think that Trump's behavior, pulling and putting people down, is a sign of strength. And I'm here to tell you that is not what real strength is about," he said. Earlier in his remarks, Obama acknowledged that rising prices under the Harris-Biden administration, which he attributed to COVID-19, have put a strain on family budgets. You think our budgets are a little strained? Is that what you call it, former Mr. President? Of course, it hasn't affected him at all. It has not affected his lifestyle one iota. He can still decide which of his multi-million-dollar estates he goes to, whether it's the one up in the Northeast in the Hamptons or the one on Hawaii, or his nice mansion in D.C. He said, "I get why people are looking to shake things up. I mean, I am the hopey, changey guy." He later compared Trump to the brutal late Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. He said, "You've got the tweets in all caps, the ranting and raving about crazy conspiracy theory, the 2-hour speeches, word salad. It's like Fidel Castro, just on and on and on," he said. Now, this is not sitting well with some black voters. And I think Obama understands that. I think Obama knows that Kamala Harris is having trouble with bridging that gap. I'm not sure that some black people really think she's black. Now, Donald Trump was criticized when he asked the question, but I think he kind of planted the seed for people to really think about it. Is she Indian? Is she black? What is she? Reggie Jones is a black man who happened to be selling Harris merchandise at this rally. And by the way, he's from South Carolina. He told the New York Post that he felt that there was different reasons that the vice president was having trouble with black men. Mr. Jones says it's because she locked a whole lot of us up as a prosecutor. "I'm just selling her stuff for the money," he said. Now, that is kind of interesting, isn't it? That this guy, a black guy, is traveling around the country selling Kamala Harris paraphernalia, but it sounds to me like he's not even necessarily going to vote for her, that he supports her. Another vendor from Detroit who says that she is a Harris supporter told the New York Post that Trump's backing from men stems from the thought that he'll be different. She said some men are just tired of the same politics. Harris represents the same old thing. Trump is saying things that might sound ridiculous, but they're exciting, she said. This lady noted that she hears some of her black male friends accuse Harris of supporting transgender surgery for minors and that she's incarcerated a lot of black men. You know, that idea has come up a number of times within the black community. That as a prosecutor, and she loves to talk about what a tough prosecutor she was, that she put mostly black men in jail. Meanwhile, the 60 Minutes fiasco, I don't know that it's going away. Kamala Harris and CBS both are ignoring it. But yesterday, a group of former CBS news staffers demanded that an independent investigation go into 60 Minutes and over how this scandal, how this happened, even as the network is stubbornly digging in and refusing to release a full unedited transcript after a number of media outlets have requested it, and including the Trump campaign. You know, 60 Minutes is a long-running news show. And in this world of the mainstream media primarily leaning to the left and supporting the left, 60 Minutes has, to a degree, been able to maintain that neutrality to a degree, not totally, but to a degree. more so than the CBS Evening News. So when this started unfolding this week, and when you saw the 60 Minutes correspondent Bill Whitaker asking the question about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and then you had the different answers. I mean, her reply was very different in the word salad that she served up in a clip that promoted the interview that was aired on Face the Nation on Sunday. I shared these with you a couple times this week. Not going to go back through it today. I think by now you probably have seen it. If not, go back and listen to yesterday's show. You can find it on the podcast, Just the Truth. Just search for Joey Hudson, Just the Truth, wherever you listen to podcasts, or if you happen to be listening to the podcast now, you can just go back to yesterday's episode. I shared all of those. But this controversy has prompted a lot of media insiders to question the ethical standards at the network. One former CBS News journalist told the New York Post, "I think there should be an outside investigation. Obviously, there's a problem here. If they care about journalistic integrity, they would conduct an investigation or release the full transcript." I think they need to release the full transcript and a full explanation of how this happened. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. This year, I really thought I was going to have to boycott the holidays. I was going to lock myself away and not come out until 2025. But after finding PhD weight loss, you can bet I'll be at every holiday party I'm invited to. That's because PhD weight loss helped me take control with great confidence, support, and my new healthy body. The best part, PhD weight loss did it all without harmful drugs that keep you dependent on them to maintain your weight loss. It's a natural, medication-free approach to weight loss crafted to naturally diminish food-related thoughts, hunger, and cravings, making your weight loss journey more sustainable and enjoyable. Take it from me, I lost 33 pounds. The PhD weight loss program teaches you not just what to eat and when, but also how to think differently about food and finally let go of those cravings and get rid of the hunger naturally. Don't lock yourself away this holiday season. Call PhD Weight Loss today at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. Authorities in North Carolina yesterday confirmed that there have been at least 91 storm-related fatalities as a result of Hurricane Helene, but still could not account for the number of those who are missing or unaccounted for. Fatalities were reported across 20 counties. This according to a Thursday afternoon update from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. The vast majority of the fatalities are in Buncombe County. That's that Asheville area, Asheville, North Carolina area, with 42 deaths, followed by Yancey and Henderson at 10 and 7 respectively. And, of course, Henderson County and Yancey right close by Buncombe County. The NCDHS told Fox News that these fatalities were confirmed by the North Carolina Office of Chief Medical Examiner. They said that there are no missing person numbers at this time because there are different sources of where missing persons and welfare check requests were reported during the storm. Now, this is troubling because there are a lot of rumors out there. You probably have heard some of them, that there are morgues that have hundreds of bodies in them. I've heard the same rumor, for example, that there is a morgue at the hospital in Asheville that has 900 unidentified bodies. I don't know that that's true, and in fact, I suspect that it probably isn't true simply because none of the authorities have even suggested that there is a morgue in Asheville at the hospital that has hundreds of unidentified bodies. Now, I understand we can't always trust what government is doing. And I understand there's been a lot of things going on with local emergency response in those counties. I mean, we've heard the stories. We've documented some of the stories of some local overzealous emergency management managers even turning people away who are trying to help, even threatening to arrest one helicopter pilot who was trying to save the wife or the husband of the wife that he'd already saved and had already flown to safety, was threatened with his arrest. We've heard all kind of tales like that. By the way, I'm going to tell you in a few minutes how you can help if you're wanting to do something for the people who have been affected by Hurricane Helene. We have a great partnership with the Salvation Army. I'll give you all those details in a minute. The North Carolina Department of Public Safety, though, says that efforts are underway to try to establish how many missing people they have on their list. Workers, community members, business owners from the area, they're all working for the same thing, and that's to try to help those families affected, help those families who have missing loved ones. Justin Graney is the chief of External Affairs and Communications for the North Carolina Emergency Management. He says that they're continuing to do grid searches, vehicle searches, damaged structure searches, and searches around areas where debris have collected. He says hundreds of responders have conducted these searches, and I think by this point, as today marks 2 weeks, I'm not sure that realistically you can talk about any rescues now. Let's just be honest. It's sad, it's grim, but I don't know that if anyone was washed away 2 weeks ago today in the early morning hours, in the dark waters, I don't know that they have survived. I think we're not talking about rescue, but we're talking about recovery now. And that's important. I read the story that has been widely followed on Facebook, and you probably have seen the news reports of the family, the grandmother and grandfather with their granddaughter and grandson on the roof waiting for someone to come save them, waiting to be rescued, only for the house to cave in and be swept away. The grandmother and grandfather perished. The grandson perished. The daughter, luckily, was washed up against debris and was able to hang on literally for 3 hours until rescuers were able to find her and take her to safety. I read yesterday where they had found the body of the mother. They'd found the body of the father a couple of days ago. This is a sad time, and we're going to find more of this. Mr. Graney explained that local entities take information reported to 911 and other local authorities, shelter occupancy information, for example. All of this information is reported to various entities, and to attempt to locate anyone that someone has reported missing or that they've asked to have a welfare check conducted, they just don't have the manpower to do it all. They're working on it. They have a long list. And because various counties evidently have different reporting methods, nobody really knows how many people are on that list. Tens of thousands of people were affected. Yesterday, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper signed the state's first relief package to address the devastation. He allocated $270 million for immediate needs and giving flexibility to agencies and displaced residents to get the money where it is needed most. Nearly all of the money, we're told, will serve as the state's share that's needed to meet the federal government's match for state and local disaster assistance programs. Other money will be used in part to ensure public school nutrition employees at closed schools get paid and help officials administer elections in the coming weeks, as polls will have to be relocated and that type of thing. I'm glad that Cooper made that distinction, that some of this money would have to be used for the elections, because that's going to be a real challenge. So you can help. The good news is we have a great partnership with the Salvation Army. So you can bring help, you can bring hope to survivors of Hurricane Helene. Odyssey's South Carolina family of radio stations, which includes this station, 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. We have partnered with the Salvation Army to provide urgent disaster relief across the Carolinas. You can donate at rebuildcarolinas.org. Rebuildcarolinas.org. Your gift will help provide emergency aid like food, water, hygiene kits, long-term recovery support to the hardest-hit communities. And here's the best part. 100% of your gift goes directly to disaster relief. I had a chance to catch up with Major Mike Harris with the Greenville Salvation Army yesterday.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can take that to the bank. 100%. Every penny goes into that disaster fund. I won't see a penny of it in Greenville locally. Of course, we're doing services, but that will come out of the disaster fund. But yeah, everything goes to disaster, and I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, and boy, have you guys already responded in a big way. The Salvation Army has, of course, been on the ground since the hurricane hit, serving over 300,000 hot meals, 170,000 drink, distributing 35,000 shelf-table meal kits, and other essential supplies. And you're reaching people that otherwise would not be reached.
Yeah, and an important piece to all of this as well is the meal is the practical thing. But the more this goes on, the encounter becomes perhaps more important. So the Salvation Army, a lot of our officers, I'm a Salvation officer, therefore a minister or a pastor, and so a lot of our officers are out there and just being with people, counseling with them, praying with them, just encouraging them because it must seem so hopeless for some folk.
Yeah.
So that's the piece that must always be remembered is the personal touch that we're able to give.
Be sure and tune in over the weekend. You can hear my entire conversation with Major Harris. But again, if you want to help the Carolinas, go to rebuildcarolinas.org, rebuildcarolinas.org. The Salvation Army has been on the ground from day one doing what they do best, and that's help people. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading, you're totally remodeling the kitchen, when it's time to get those new appliances, when you're ready for them, you don't want to have to wait weeks or even months to get started using them, right? Well, that's not the case when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. With over 11,000 square feet and 1,500 appliances at any given time, you can buy today and use today quite often. I'm talking about shopping with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. It's worth the short drive over to Pickens. Jeff, Johnny, Kyle, the whole team over there, they'll take good care of you. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties, and at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they treat you like family. You're more than just a credit card swipe to all the team over there. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor. You owe it to yourself if you're looking for a new appliance to head over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse online at dawpickens.com. dawpickens.com. A new poll released this week shows that President Donald Trump has a strong lead over Vice President Kamala Harris on the subject of immigration, even after Harris has sought to present herself as the best candidate to secure the southern border. Now, we're not buying that because we know that she's had 3.5 years now to secure the southern border, and she's done everything but that. In fact, in the 3.5 years, she hasn't really bothered to even go to the southern border. She keeps talking about that her job was to determine the root causes, but not necessarily solve the problem. Now, when the president gave her the task of focusing on the southern border, which earned her the nickname or the moniker of being the border czar, one would think that that's what she was supposed to do. And in fact, in the infamous 60 Minutes interview this past week, when Bill Whitaker asked her about immigration, he really tried to press her on saying, okay, why haven't you done anything? Do you realize or do you admit that you made a mistake by opening the floodgates? And he literally said that, opening the floodgates and letting all these people in. Do you think you should have done something sooner? Because she starts talking with him about the fact, well, things are down now. The numbers are lower because we did this and this. And to his credit, he pushed back and he said, well, should you have done that earlier? Or maybe you should not have made the changes you did to the Trump border policy that caused this to happen. The Quinnipiac poll released this week found Harris leading President Trump slightly in Pennsylvania. Trump is ahead in Michigan and Wisconsin, the three Rust Belt states that are being closely watched because they could determine our next president. I mean, that's the reality of it. 3 states could potentially determine who sits in the Oval Office for the next 4 years. I had a friend of mine yesterday say, well, why are we talking about Pennsylvania so much? Why are we talking about Michigan so much? Wisconsin? Well, because those states could very well determine the winner. Now, on the question of who's best to handle immigration, Trump leads in all 3 states. He carries a 4-point lead in Pennsylvania, a 9-point lead in Michigan, and an 8-point lead in Wisconsin. Now, I have been in Wisconsin, and I've been in Pennsylvania, and I've talked to people in those 2 states. I haven't been to Michigan. Well, actually, I have been to Michigan. I went to Detroit to a Charlie Kirk event. So, yes, I have been to Michigan, but I was surrounded by a bunch of Trump supporters, so that may not count. But I've been to Pennsylvania, been to Wisconsin when I just purposely asked people about their views on Donald Trump. And granted, these states are nowhere close to the southern border. And I found out back in the early days of the primary when I went to the Iowa caucuses, then I went to the New Hampshire primary, they're not close to the southern border either. But immigration was the top issue that people, as I was interviewing people in those states, was their top issue. And they believe that Donald Trump is best to solve that problem because they think we have to solve that problem. Trump was also preferred, based on this latest Quinnipiac poll, in all states on the economy and the handling of the conflict in the Middle East. Of course, Harris was preferred on abortion, and for some crazy reason, I don't get this, preserving democracy. That's laughable. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, along with Georgia and North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada, had razor-thin margins, of course, that decided the 2020 race. Those states are why Joe Biden is sitting in the Oval Office, or is sleeping in the Oval Office right now. And these 7 states are likely to determine who the 2024 presidential winner will be as well, with some focus on a few of those states. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin are also the 3 Rust Belt states that make up what the Democrats call their blue wall. So on the night of November the 5th, and we'll have coverage for you, if you see Trump winning Wisconsin, especially Pennsylvania, but if Trump wins one of these states, he is going to pierce that blue wall. And I don't know that there's a path for Kamala Harris to pull out of that. The party reliably won all 3 states for a quarter century before Trump narrowly captured them in the 2016 election to win the White House. The Democrat Party, that is, this blue wall. Trump was able to do it in 2016. He didn't do it in 2020, but it looks like he can do it again in 2024. A recent Marquette Law School poll found that 49% favor Trump, while just 37% favor Harris on immigration. Again, that immigration issue comes up. 8% said that they're about the same. 6% said neither are good on the issue. Harris was tasked, of course, with tackling this. And she has been viewed in just about every poll that has come out as an utter failure. And Republicans have jumped on that. They've accused her of playing a key role in the border crisis because, again, that's what Joe Biden asked her to do. Trump says he's going to launch a massive deportation if reelected, restart the border wall construction, and end Biden-era parole policies. These are issues that he won on in 2016. Critics have also highlighted that Kamala Harris's left-wing policies as a senator and as a presidential candidate in 2019, including her positions on immigration funding and the detention of illegal immigrants, as issues that are hurting her. Even though she's trying to run from some of those extreme issues now. She's trying to say that she's changed, that she's matured, I guess. Harris's campaign says that since 2019, because of her experience as vice president, that she has a different view on some of these things. The campaign has highlighted her past as a prosecutor and her backing of a bipartisan Senate bill to increase funding to the border, which she keeps blaming that being held up by the Republicans. Her campaign also recently talked about the fact that there has been a drop in border encounters in this past year. She's accused Trump of ignoring this and of playing political games with the southern border. No one's buying it, though. Let's look at the battleground state of Michigan, for example. Again, one of those three, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, the blue wall. Michigan's working class appears to be turning against Kamala Harris, too. Team Trump Michigan Communications Director Victoria Lasavita said Michigan's working class isn't fooled by Kamala Harris's word salads and dog and pony shows. Her policies like the radical Green New Deal are anti-worker. Her attack on American energy has made the cost of living unaffordable, and her plan to ban gas-powered cars will decimate the backbone of our economy. Now, you notice she hasn't been talking too much about this whole car mandate, has she? She hadn't talked too much about the fact that she wants everybody driving an electric car within the next decade. These comments come as the race to win Michigan, again, one of those vital swing states, is heating up. Real Clear Politics polling average shows Harris with a less than 0.5% margin of a lead with just under 4 weeks to go. And that's in Michigan alone. The Quinnipiac poll that I just referenced a minute ago shows Trump with a slight lead there. So it's a toss-up. Now, you might say, well, a toss-up, that's not very good for Trump, is it? Well, if it's a toss-up in a blue state as part of the blue wall, that's a problem for Kamala Harris because she should be easily winning Michigan. And the whole idea that she's losing that blue-collar worker, that's a good sign that we're doing well because those are the people who helped Donald Trump win in 2016, the hardworking men and women of America. And we're seeing that because, think about it, there's been two major unions who have refused to endorse her, starting with the Teamsters, one of the country's largest and most influential unions, who traditionally endorse Democrat candidates. They refuse to do so. And in refusing to endorse her, they also released their internal polling, which showed that overwhelmingly Teamsters support Donald Trump. 61.7% said that they support Trump over Harris with 35.2%. Then, a couple weeks later, the International Association of Firefighters, who also supported Joe Biden in 2020, who also typically supports Democrats, again refused to offer their endorsement. When two major unions refuse to endorse you, that's bad news. Lasavita said the Teamsters' own polling shows exactly what we knew, that rank-and-file Michigan Teamsters, hardworking Michigan citizens, are supporting President Trump and his pro-worker policies. I don't know that Kamala Harris can survive losing part of the blue wall. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you could trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. One of my favorite parts of the show every day is when I catch up with you via your text messages, your emails, Keep them coming. I love to get your notes. You can also leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. And always use promo code Joey when you go to mypillow.com, and you get some of the great deals that Mike Lindell has for you right now on the MyPillows. Take advantage of this unbelievable sale he has going on right now, because another big box store canceled a large order. So he's passing the savings on directly to you. The standard MyPillow retails for $49.98. When you go to MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4058, use promo code Joey, you're going to get it for $14.98. Now, the only catch there, you can only order 10. There's a limit of 10. So why not go ahead and just order 10 for $14.98 and go ahead and stock up for Christmas. They make great Christmas presents. While you're at MyPillow.com, check out some of the other unbelievable deals. Get the 6-piece kitchen or bath towel set for only $25. The brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98, and the famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25 when you use promo code Joey. MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4058. Always use promo code Joey. On the text line, Jeff says, I think you're right to stay in place if you want to, but just know that first responders are not coming for you. This is in response, and I got a number of you texting and emailing. I asked you yesterday, as Hurricane Milton was targeting Florida, and there was a guy who said, I'm staying in my house. He literally said, I've got my life jacket. If I have to, I'll swim out at some point, but I'm not leaving. And he got a lot of fanfare. His video went viral. Local officials tried to get him to leave, and he wouldn't. So my question to you was, is that okay? I mean, do we have the right to risk our own lives to stay when there's a mandatory evacuation? Well, many of you responded basically agreeing that, yeah, he does have that right, but he also can't expect first responders to risk their lives to try to come save him if he gets in trouble. Mr. Thomas in Morganton, North Carolina says, I think a man should be able to stand his ground despite being in imminent danger as long as it does not put anyone else in danger, with the understanding that there will not be a rescue until the danger is gone. Texter, Jennifer says, number one, she got a list here. Stay after that blatant, deliberate disinformation in the CBS 60 Minutes Kamala interview edit that covered up her original word salad answer. That is deception, pure and simple. Number two, DeSantis gave Kamala a lesson yesterday, didn't he, in the difference in trying to look like a leader as opposed to actually being a leader in the face of a crisis. Loved it. Yeah, I like that too, Jennifer. I mean, Ron DeSantis really let Kamala Harris know, hey, I'm in charge. I'm the sheriff down here. Stay out of Florida. Stay out of the way. And Joe Biden kind of threw her under the bus, because Biden was asked about his relationship with Ron DeSantis and the fact that DeSantis was not responding to Kamala Harris. Evidently, she reached out to him, called him, trying to make a big deal out of it. He wouldn't return her call. So she was trying to say, well, I'm trying to help, but he won't. His point was, she doesn't have a role down here. I'm working directly with the president. And Joe Biden seemed to support that. Joe Biden seemed to suggest that he and Ron DeSantis were working well together to try to get what Florida needs. Texter says, happy Friday. It appears 3 of Kamala's 4 wheels are off, and she's leaking oil and transmission fluid. She's barely hanging on. Will the Dems continue to allow this to happen? ? Lord, please let her dry up on the vine. Trump 2024. Texter, good morning. You hit the nail on the head. My biggest issue with Kamala and others like her is every time she opens her mouth, she insults us, assuming we'd buy all the BS she cooks up. Keep it real, friend. Love your show. Thank you. Appreciate that. Roger says, Joey, we still don't have Spectrum. Bet I've called 100 times. Their customer service is sorry at best. Spectrum has been a real problem. And so much so that a lot of you have emailed, not only to this show, but to other media outlets, and we all are trying to hold Spectrum accountable. They have started doing daily media updates because so many inquiries have been made. I think the bottom line is They don't know what to do. They're just overwhelmed. And I think people, you get your electricity back and you see that the poles have been repaired, and you're thinking, well, why don't I have my internet service back? Or why don't I have my cable TV service back? And if you look below those electric wires, you'll see the bigger bundled wires, which are typically the telephone wires and the cable wires, and a lot of those are still down. I don't know what Spectrum does about it, but I've heard the same thing that Roger said. You know, you can call in their service department. They just don't respond. They claim, though, that they're working hard. Spectrum claims that they're trying to get all of the services back up. Texter, back on this issue of whether or not you should be allowed to stay if there's a mandatory evacuation, says first responders should not, all caps, risk themselves to save a fool. Allow him to put some chlorine in the gene pool. In the email inbox, hey, Joey, I listen to your radio talk show on the radio in the mornings and have been for a while now. Well, thank you. Appreciate you listening. Just wanted to let you know, as well as others who have also talked on the station, that my brother in Liberty, South Carolina, did receive $750 from FEMA. My mom also has FEMA scheduled to look at her house in Central. Both had substantial damage done to their homes and are receiving help. I myself needed to apply, but heard on the radio how they weren't helping and didn't have money to give out. Just wanted you to know that it is happening. Also, it's Thankful Thursday. I'm very thankful for breath in my body and that life that God has given me and being able to live now for 35 years. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. So, and I've gotten a few other reports, too, of people who said they did get the $750. And there's also this question about, well, it's not really a grant, it's a loan. You're going to have to pay it back. Well, that's not the case for everybody. The big confusion here is this. When you apply for that, there's a box there that you can check about whether or not you have insurance. I think what FEMA is doing here, and maybe we'll get somebody from FEMA on and just clarify this once and for all rather than me reading it and interpreting it for you. But what it appears to me is that if you have insurance and your insurance pays for that same damage, FEMA wants their money back. FEMA's not going to pay you for something that you're going to be paid for otherwise. Right, wrong, or indifference, I think that's the policy. Now, according to a couple of other emails that I've got, including this one, evidently there are other categories that you can check too that does not include the idea that there could potentially be insurance payments. We'll try to get some more answers for you. And by the way, yesterday had Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evan on, and she explained that they're having, and in fact today it is at Greenville Tech. So if you live in the upstate area, you can go to Greenville Tech, and they're having I forget what she called it, a county meeting. Basically, though, all the various leaders from different agencies are going to be there to answer your questions, like from the Department of Insurance, from all the agencies, the emergency management, anyone who's played a role in the response will be there. And they're going to be setting these up. They had one in Spartanburg yesterday. It's Greenville today. They're going to be setting these up around the area into next week and over the next couple of weeks. As we learn where they're going to be, we'll communicate that to you. Put them up on the website as well. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Just click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, find me on YouTube. Be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on my YouTube channel. Just search for Joey Hudson. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Be sure and forward this edition of Just the Truth to some friends. Just click on the share button. Send it to a few of your contacts, because if we're going to build our community and if we're going to win in November, we got to build an army of conservatives. The way we beat Joe Biden is through educating people, and no better way and encouraging them to listen to just the truth. Hey, keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your emails always welcome as well. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Don't forget to take advantage of the MyPillow special, $25 for the My Towels 6-piece towel set when you use promo code Joey. Just go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. We're back again tomorrow. Hope you will be too. Remember, God's got this. He's still in control.